Hi, both. Thanks for joining us today on our Business Gurus channel, where we will be discussing key business topics to help students grasp the most important elements of their course in preparation for their exams and future career. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Ever notice that favorite snack bar getting weirdly smaller?
Or maybe the price just creeps up, seemingly out of nowhere.
Exactly. If that sounds familiar, then, well, today's deep dive is definitely for you. We've got this really concise set of sources here that basically unpack the moving parts of any business.
Yeah, they get right to the heart of it.
Our mission today isn't just, listing who's involved. We want to zero in on this, like, built-in tension, the core conflict that shapes almost every decision a company makes.
That's it. We're talking about the friction, the unavoidable clash that happens when different people involved with a company, the stakeholders, want fundamentally different things.
Right. And the sources, they're pretty clear.
Yeah.
This isn't just like a minor disagreement. It's baked into the system. It's how things operate, especially under capitalism.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to figure out who these players are fast and then really get into why what customers want and what the money people want are, well, often pulling in opposite directions. Okay, let's unpack this.
Right. So when we say business dynamics, the key term from the sources is stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
These are basically all the groups that have some kind of interest in the company, right? They affect it or they're affected by it.
Exactly. And rather than just making a list, which honestly you probably have a good sense of already, let's think about what each group actually wants, what they demand, because that's what sets up the conflict.
Good point. So how do we break them down?
Well, the sources give us a pretty straightforward way. Think about proximity, like how close they are to the day-to-day operations. First, you've got your internal stakeholders.
Okay, like who?
Primarily, you're looking at the owner, or maybe the top executives, the C-suite, and crucially, the employees.
Right, the people inside the building.
Yeah, and their demands differ. Employees, they need reliable pay, safe conditions, a workload that's manageable. Their focus is stability and fairness.
Okay, and the C-suite.
Their demand. Often it's about hitting targets, execution, growth, making the business bigger, more successful financially.
Got it. Then there are the outsiders.
Yep, the external stakeholders.
Right.
This is a broader group. You've got customers, obviously.
We want value. Good stuff for cheap.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Value is key. Then you have suppliers. They want steady orders, decent payment terms.
Makes sense.
And don't forget the community, regulators. They're looking for stability, compliance with rules, maybe positive local impact, jobs.
Okay, so lots of different groups wanting different things.
But, and this is critical in the sources, there's one group whose influence often carries the most weight, financially speaking. The investors.
The shareholders.
The money people. Exactly. Their power comes from providing the capital, the investment, and their demand. It's usually very focused. Maximum financial return.
Profit.
Profit, yes, but often framed specifically as maximizing shareholder value, or MSV.
Yeah.
For them, that's the ultimate measure of success.
Okay.
And this intense focus on MSV, it acts like a gravitational pull. Almost all the other conflicts sort of orbit around this one central demand.
So you have all these competing interests, but the sources seem to say, okay, let's focus here first on the most direct clash. The one between the customer and the capital providers, the owners or shareholders.
Yes. This is really where the rubber meets the road, where the internal structure of the business confronts the reality of the market.
So let's talk about the customer side first. You, the person buying the product or service, what do you want?
It's pretty simple and totally rational, right? You want the lowest possible price.
Definitely.
And you want the highest possible quality, the best thing you can get.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want that? Get the most bang for your buck, maximize your own value.
Exactly. But then you flip it. Look at the financial stakeholders, the owners, the shareholders, their rationality.
Yeah.
It points somewhere else entirely.
Towards that MSV thing.
Right. Maximizing shareholder value. And how do you do that? Primarily by maximizing profit, often, looking at the next quarter, the short term.
Okay, so right there, you can see the clash brewing.
It's not just brewing. It's structural. It's built in. The sources highlight two immediate tensions that show up in basically everything you buy or use.
Let's break those down. What's the first one? Okay, first up, price tension. Simple concept. If the owners and shareholders are laser focused on high profit, they need to make as much money as possible on each sale.
Right. Which means they want or need high prices. But the customer, seeking value,
Wants low prices.
direct opposition. It's like a seesaw. One goes up, the other has to come down. Every penny of profit margin is a point of conflict.
And this isn't just like a philosophical thing, it affects real decisions.
Absolutely. The sources suggest that setting a price is making a choice about which side of that tension you're leaning towards. Think about a company that competes mainly on price.
Like a discount store or budget airline.
Yeah, their strategy is called cost leadership. They basically decided, okay, we're going to win by being the cheapest, but that means they're likely sacrificing some profit margin, or maybe something else.
Like quality. Which
Yeah.
brings us to the second tension.
Exactly. The second big one is quality tension. This hits the other side of the profit equation, the costs. Okay, explain that. Customers, as we said, demand high quality, better materials, more features, longer durability, better service, you name it.
Right. Stuff that makes the product good.
But making things good costs money. Better materials cost more. Better service needs well-trained staff, which costs more. R&D for features costs more.
Ah, I see. High quality equals higher costs for the business.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting. Like you said earlier, high costs are the enemy of high profit.
Because profit is revenue minus costs.
Simple math. So if a company spends more to deliver that high quality the customer wants, that spending directly eats into the net profit.
Which the shareholders don't want.
Not if their main goal is maximizing that short-term MSV.
Yeah.
So this creates immense pressure from the financial side onto management to cut costs, reduce spending wherever possible.
So companies have to choose again.
They often do. A company that decides to win on quality, think luxury cars, high-end electronics, maybe premium services, that's a differentiation strategy. They have to be able to charge higher prices to cover those higher quality costs. They basically accept losing the price battle to win the quality one.
And if they try to offer both low prices and high quality.
Well, that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
But it's incredibly difficult. Usually something has to give. Often it's the profit targets that get squeezed, which makes the shareholders unhappy.
Okay, so this conflict between customer demands, low price, high quality, and shareholder demands, high profit, meaning high price, low cost, is constant. But the sources seem to suggest it doesn't just stay as an external fight. How does a company actually manage this day to day?
Right. They can't just let the tension exist. They have to operate within it. They need to manage their unit economics, basically. How much it costs to make and sell one item versus how much they get for it.
Okay.
And when the pressure is on, especially, say, near the end of a financial quarter, and they need to boost profits or cut costs fast, where do they look?
Well, they probably can't just invent a magic cost-saving machine overnight.
No, exactly. So they look for the easiest levers to pull, the path of least resistance to find those savings. And often, that path leads inward,
Inward, meaning?
meaning applying pressure to the internal costs. And that brings us right back to that other major internal stakeholder group we mentioned earlier.
The employees.
Bingo.
Ah, okay. So the conflict doesn't just get resolved between the customer and the shareholder. It gets transferred.
Passed along, yeah.
Yeah.
The employees often end up becoming the shock absorbers for that external tension.
Wow. Okay, walk me through how that works.
Okay, imagine management gets the word from on high, maybe from the board, driven by shareholder pressure. We need to increase MSV, cut operating costs by, say, 10% this quarter.
All right, a typical corporate directive.
A very typical one. Now, what does management do? They probably can't slash the quality of their main product too drastically, or they risk losing customers.
Yeah, that would backfire.
And they definitely can't go back to the shareholders and say, sorry, couldn't meet the profit target.
So they're stuck in the middle.
They are. So they look for the most flexible, most quantifiable cost center they can squeeze. And very often, that's labor,
People costs.
people costs.
Yeah.
And the sources point out this pressure shows up in a few key ways that directly impact the employee experience.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, wage stagnation. It's pretty straightforward. If the company is trying to keep prices low for customers and deliver high profits to shareholders, one way to make the math work is to keep labor costs flat.
Or even cut benefits, things like that.
Exactly. So the employee's pay package gets squeezed directly because of that external conflict between customer value and shareholder profit.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Second, think about resource scarcity. Delivering high quality usually requires having the right tools, enough training, up-to-date software, maybe just enough people on staff.
Yeah, the inputs needed to do a good job.
Right. But if management is under pressure to cut costs for MSV, those inputs are often seen as easy targets for savings. Training budgets get cut, equipment doesn't get replaced, software licenses aren't renewed for everyone.
So the employee is expected to deliver the same high quality, but with fewer or worse tools,
Precisely. They're asked to do more with less, essentially.
which sounds stressful.
Yeah.
It is. And that leads directly to the third impact, pressure on workload and productivity. How so?
Well, if you have fewer resources, or if wages are kept low, so maybe you can't attract or retain as many staff, the work still needs to get done, right?
Right.
To meet customer demand and generate revenue.
Yeah, the orders keep coming in.
So the remaining employees have to pick up the slack. They have to work harder, faster, maybe longer hours to maintain the same output or service level.
Wow. So the employee gets hit from all sides, pay, resources, and workload.
It's the ultimate manifestation of that core tension we identified. The employee is caught in the crossfire. They're expected to deliver the high quality the customer wants,
Right.
using the pared back, cheaper resources that the drive for shareholder profit often dictates,
Okay.
all while potentially earning a wage that's been suppressed by that same profit-seeking, cost-cutting pressure.
Yeah. It really paints a picture of how interconnected everything is. It sort of reframes that idea of corporate efficiency. It's not always about genuine innovation.
Sometimes it's just about shifting the burden, relocating the pressure point, as you said.
And every time a company, especially maybe a publicly traded one focused on quarterly results, decides to prioritize that short-term MSV.
It seems, based on these sources, that it's often the employee who feels the immediate impact in terms of stress, workload, maybe burnout, and definitely in their paycheck potential over time.
What's fascinating here, and the sources really bring this out, is how this isn't just like a bad manager
Well,
problem.
no, it's systemic. It's almost institutionalized, especially with that quarterly reporting cycle for public companies. That intense short-term focus on hitting profit numbers almost guarantees that management will look for the quickest, easiest cost cuts.
And labor is often seen as the easiest variable cost to adjust quickly.
Compared to, say, long-term R&D investment or major operational overhauls. Yeah.
Huh?
Cutting travel budgets, freezing hiring, squeezing wages, those have an immediate bottom-line impact that looks good on the next report.
It makes you rethink that old saying, the customer is always right.
Well, maybe they are.
Yeah.
Right up until what they want clashes directly with maximizing shareholder value.
And when that collision happens,
The structure, as described here, seems designed to channel the financial pressure away from the shareholder and often onto the employee.
so what does this all mean? Let's try to wrap this up. We started by identifying the key players, the stakeholders, and their often competing demands.
We then pinpointed the really fundamental conflict described in the sources.
Mm.
The clash between the customer, who wants low prices and high quality.
Yep.
Max value for them.
And the capital providers, the shareholders, who want high profit, which implies needing high prices and low costs.
A direct structural opposition.
Then we saw how this external fight often gets resolved, or at least managed internally, by pushing the pressure, especially the cost-cutting pressure, onto the employees.
Through things like wage pressure, lack of resources, and increased workload.
Okay.
And the critical takeaway, I think, is that this isn't presented as just, one company behaving badly. It's shown as an almost inevitable outcome of how businesses are structured when maximizing that short-term shareholder return becomes the absolute top priority.
Right.
But let's leave you, the listener, with something to chew on. A provocative thought, maybe. If this relentless pursuit of MSV constantly puts the squeeze on employees through cost-cutting,
Okay.
and if at the same time a company's ability to actually deliver the high quality that customers want increasingly depends on having skilled, motivated, stable employees.
Yeah, especially in service or knowledge industries.
Exactly. Then, can a system that structurally tends to demoralize or burn out its workforce really achieve sustainable, genuine, high quality for its customers in the long run? Have wondered, where's the breaking point in that triangle between shareholder demands, customer desires, and employee well-being? Something to think about.
Thanks to both of you for joining us today. You've been listening to the Business Gurus. Let's now hand it over to you. What further questions do you have based on what we've discussed so far? Leave a comment and we'll get back to you right away. If you haven't already, hit that follow for more business tips.